Hey guys, so today's video is going to be pretty quick and easy. I'm going to be insulating my garage doors. So to start with, I'm going to clean them up. So I'm going to vacuum my doors and then I'm going to wipe them down with some rubbing alcohol since they'll evaporate really quickly. Now, if your doors are really dirty, you may want to wash them, but back when I painted my garage, I pressure washed everything in the garage to include the doors and scrubbed them down at times. So mine are relatively clean right now. So I'm not actually going to be using normal insulation for the door. I'm going to be using a radiant shield, which is Reflectix in this case, is the brand. And normally you would see this stuff up in your attic spaces predominantly, and it can't be used for garage doors. In fact, there's a photo here that shows basically how it's being used. So for R value for garage door, it's pretty low. It's only an R value of 3. Now I live in the south, so I do get quite a bit of sunshine throughout the day. And even though it does get very hot, the primary issue in the south is humidity. So you know, this isn't going to do anything about humidity. If I want to try to keep the space cooler, I would have to install an AC unit in the garage, and currently that's just not in the budget. So we're just going to use the Reflectix for now. That'll help keep the doors a little bit cooler, and of course these are the largest openings to the house, and metal, when it heats up, will transfer quite a bit of heat, and this will help stop that. All right, so before I can get started with attaching this to the door, I'm gonna have to cut it because obviously this roll is quite big. I've got 18-inch openings and this roll is like 48 inches tall. So this is way too big. I'm gonna have to cut it down. Now, if you live in a different climate than me, and if you're dealing with severe cold or way more like dry heat, like out in the desert where you have a lot of sun but not a lot of humidity, then you might want something with a little more R value than what I'm using, right? I actually don't get that much sun on my doors because my doors face east. So once the sun gets up over the tree line out here, then I only get like 4 or 5 hours of direct sunlight in the doors, and then at that point the sun's too high in the sky and it's kind of going over the house. So that's why I don't really need anything too crazy on my doors. But if you, of course, if you live in a different environment, especially if you have like a south-facing door where you're getting sunlight all freaking day, then you may want some extra insulation value. So I went and cut my first piece just so I could do a dry fitting and see what I wanted. So I knew that the first cut I did was going to be too short because this is 48 inches tall, happens to be 25 feet long, but this is 50 inches wide and it's 18 inches tall. So I decided to see how it would look if I just cut it by 48 by 18, stuck it in there. And I could go with an inch gap on each side and tape it like that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut each piece just like this, and I'm going to slide it to one side, and then I'm going to come back at the end because there's going to be some scrap and I'm going to fill it in. If I were to cut each one to 50 by 18, I would end up with a huge amount of scrap left over, and it's just going to be a lot of cutting, a lot of unnecessary cutting is what it would come down to. Whereas this way, it's going to be much faster to cut, and then I can just fill in the tiny gaps. Oh no, don't tell me. That top one is taller? Go f yourself. So I'm pretty annoyed right now, but it's really no one to be annoyed at except myself here. So when I did the measurements for the panels, I measured the middle ones and checked to make sure that they were 50 by 18. What I didn't do was I didn't measure the bottom ones and I didn't measure the top ones. I just assumed that since all the other ones were 50 by 18 that they were going to be the same size, you know. They are not. They're like 20 and a half by 50. So yeah. Okay, I don't have enough material left over to do anything about the tops and bottoms, so I'm just gonna have to go buy more, but for now I might as well put the middle ones in place. So I have my tape here. This is Reflectix tape. So it's made to work with this product, and I'm just going to tape these panels into place here. And then once I've got them all done, I'll go back out and buy more. Okay guys, it's now day 2 of this project because, like I said earlier, I need to go get more radiant shielding because the top and bottom sections of the door are actually larger than the middle sections, and since I cut all my pieces first without checking those top and bottom, I didn't have the right sizes. So now that I've got that, I also picked up an infrared thermometer while at the store, and so we're going to use this to compare the two doors, so the parts that I have currently with the radiant shielding, and then the other door here that doesn't have it at all. So as I've been scanning the door, what I've been getting is anywhere from 84 to 85 at the top down to 90, 91 degrees for the bottom panel, and that's probably because the bottom panel is getting a lot more heat coming off of the ground. So the average flow across the door is about 87 degrees, but over on the door that has the radiant shielding, I'm getting 78 degrees off of that. Now to put things in perspective, right now it is a little bit after 12, so noon in the afternoon, and it is a fairly moderate nice day. It's 80 degrees outside with a heat index of about 85, and we are partly cloudy today, so unfortunately I don't have full sun all the time on the doors, but I can't do anything about that. Mother Nature's going to do its own thing. So I think overall the fact that I'm getting around 87 degrees on average on the uninsulated garage door, and then I'm getting about 78 where the radiant shielding is installed, I think that's pretty good. Alright, so both garage doors are now done. So working with the foil tape was pretty annoying. It was very sticky obviously, and then trying to get into those crevices of the door was difficult. It wasn't the primary option I was going to use. I was actually looking for a double-sided tape first, but I couldn't find any in the store, so I guess they were out of stock. From there, I did consider using spray adhesive, but you know, just like with a spray paint, I was concerned of it leaving residue on other surfaces in the garage, since the only way to apply it would be with the doors down, so I wouldn't have a lot of airflow. I could of course remove both cars from the garage, and that would have been the main issue, but there's loads of other things that stuff could have settled on. So I decided not to go spray adhesive. If you were not in a situation like me, if your entire garage was empty and you're doing this upon like moving into your house or something, then spray adhesive may be your best bet, because you're definitely going to be able to get it all over the panel, and then it's going to stick really well. But for me, the final option ended up being the foil tape. It was right next to the radiant shielding in the store, and it was about $2.50 a roll, so it was fairly cheap. I did use a fair number of rolls, but ultimately it still came out pretty well. And I think at most it would have cost about 2 cans of spray adhesive, and I probably would have used or bought at least 2 cans of spray adhesive, so it still equaled out about the same. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the DIY Grunt.